Hello NBA fans and welcome back to another episode here on the NBA the week that was. Today we'll be continuing the series I started on this channel where I've been predicting the starting lineups for each of the 30 NBA teams. I've already done the Hawks, I've already done the Celtics. Today we'll be continuing the series with the Brooklyn Nets. Now they're probably going to have one of the best starting lineups in the NBA, so tune in, see who's going to fit alongside the 3 All-Stars on this roster, and let's get right into it. At the point guard position, we have Kyrie Irving. Now, when Kyrie Irving is locked in, focused in the game of basketball, he can probably be a top 10 offensive player in this league. Insane handles, probably one of the best handles of all time. Crazy finishing. He can finish anywhere around. I mean, you put him anywhere, he'll give you a floater. He'll finish up and under. He can finish through contact. I mean, Kyrie Irving, he can score from anywhere on the court. He can hit those deep three-pointers. He's hit one of the best shots of all time on Steph Curry in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Kyrie Irving on offense is just a master. He can do anything he wants, and he's such a key to this Brooklyn Nets team. Now, the key with Kyrie Irving is him staying healthy and him staying just mentally well. Kyrie Irving, the media has created this negative perception on him, but I really respect the way he's himself. He doesn't care about what the media thinks of him. He focuses on what he believes in, and I really respect that for him. But sometimes that he prioritizes himself over basketball, which I don't really like. But ultimately, Kyrie Irving has to stay locked in. He has to stay healthy, and he's one of the best point guards in the NBA. Let's get on to the shooting guard. At the shooting guard, we have another all-time player in James Harden. Now, James Harden is probably a top 10 player in this league. He definitely is, I would say. And he's one of the best offensive players, not just now, but I would say of all time. His isolation game is some of the best we have ever seen. That step back has been one of the moves that no one has been able to just decipher and figure out how to stop it. That step back three, sometimes he just drives past you, gets that floater up. He can pass really well. He has some of the best passing vision in the NBA. He'll find you open guys. He'll get you those lobs. James Harden is just a great offensive player. He also has a low post game, which is quite underrated. I mean, especially on the defensive end, he can battle with those big guys. He's quite strong around his waist. He has good balance. He can really bang with those big guys, if that's the way I want to put it. I mean, he did that against the Brooklyn Nets when they tried to back him down with guys like Giannis, Chris Middleton. He held his own. So defensively, Harden also provides value, even though he's been notorious for not being a good defender. But ultimately, there isn't much to say about James Harden. Again, it's just key for him to stay healthy. And when he's healthy, he's one of the best players in the NBA. He can get it done on offense in any way, shape, or form. And defensively, he can hold his own. But his true value is that step back and that lethal offensive game. At the small forward, we have Joe Harris. Now, after watching the last playoffs and watching Joe Harris sell that Bucks series, you guys might be questioning the selection over guys like Bruce Brown, who's really a do-it-all guy. But Joe Harris, when he's on form, which is quite often throughout the regular season and postseason, he just had a bad series against the Bucks. He's probably a top 5 three-point shooter in this league. I said it. I mean, there's Steph Curry, there's Klay Thompson, there's Duncan Robinson, and then there's Joe Harris, in my opinion. That guy, whether it's a designed pin down screen for him or he's just ready in the corner for a spot up three, Joe Harris knows how to get that three-point shot to go in. He led the league in three-point percentage, and he's just so consistent. And he's a great guy to play alongside Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. Well, that kind of spoiled Kevin Durant starting, but if you clicked this video and thought Kevin Durant is not going to start for the Brooklyn Nets, I would just recommend you to turn it off. But that's besides the point. Joe Harris, whether it be Durant or Harden or Irving, they draw in a double team because of how lethal their offensive game is. It's going to leave Joe Harris open for a wide open three, and that's where he excels. On defense, he'll play hard. He'll get to his spots. Ultimately, Joe Harris just provides so much value with his three-point shooting. He deserves a starting spot. And because you can't leave him open, it prevents teams from doubling guys like Durant, Irving, or Harden. So it's essentially like a pick your poison. Either way, you're going to get buckets. Do you want them from Kevin Durant? Do you want them from Joe Harris? Do you want them from Kyrie Irving? You want them from James Harden? You never know what you're going to get with this team. But ultimately, Joe Harris is definitely deserving of a starting spot. But I won't be unhappy if Bruce Brown starts over him, given the fact that guy he's a jack of all trades. He'll play hard defense. He'll get you rebounds. He'll act as a big man like he did in the Brooklyn-Milwaukee series. So if Bruce Brown starts over Joe Harris, I won't be too disappointed. But I believe because of his significantly superior three-point shooting, Joe Harris should be in the starting lineup. At the power forward, we have, in my opinion, the best player in the NBA, Kevin Durant. Oh my god, watching him come back last year after 18 months of not playing and just playing out of his mind, especially in the playoffs, that vintage 50-point performance in Game 6 to bring into that Game 7, and the fact that he was 1 inch from winning it in Game 7 with that 2-point shot that his foot was just on the 3-point arc. Kevin Durant is just unstoppable. He's a 7-footer with the skills of a guard. We've heard this story for years and years. He's been in the league for so long, and he just continues to get better. He's the one guy I believe is no one can stop him. Put Kawhi Leonard on him, put Giannis on him, put any all-time defender on him, and they're really gonna struggle guarding Kevin Durant. An off night for the guy scoring 20 points. That's just outrageous to me. And he was amazing in that Milwaukee series, amazing throughout the playoffs. Kevin Durant is the best player in the NBA. There isn't much to be said. Best mid-range game, one of the best three-point shooters. He can finish around the rim. Well, and then now he's developing into a rim protector because he's the biggest guy on the floor in terms of height. He's a really good defender. People really underrate his defensive ability. Best player in the NBA, Kevin Durant, is starting at the power forward for the Brooklyn Nets. And you just start to realize how unfair this team is. And finally, at the center position, we have Blake Griffin. Obviously, this team will be playing positionless basketball, which is the theme of the modern NBA. But for this video's purposes, Blake Griffin will be starting at the 5 for the Brooklyn Nets. Now, this is another debatable position because they brought in LaMarcus Aldridge, who's been cleared to play by the NBA after he had some heart issues which forced him to retire early, as well as Paul Millsap, who are both contenders for this starting spot. But with the way Blake Griffin just meshed so well with the rest of these guys in that Brooklyn series, like this was the starting lineup in the playoffs for them. I think Blake Griffin deserves a spot. He, unfortunately for my Pistons fans out there, he obviously was faking his athleticism issues. He can definitely dunk the ball with ferocity. He plays really hard, plays with emotion. He gets really fired up, motivates the team. He did well against Giannis. I mean, again, doing well against like these all-time greats like Giannis and KD is just relative because it's impossible to stop them, but he did a good job using his body, using his physicality. He isn't the smartest defender. He isn't the most agile guy, but he'll use his body. And then again, offensively, he's developed a three-point shot, which he started doing in his last years as a Clipper and in his Detroit stint. And he's also a decent playmaker at his size, so if they need that extra pass, Blake Griffin will find that extra pass for you. Now, ultimately, he does struggle at rebounding given he is a bit smaller than the rest of the big man, and Kevin Durant obviously is not strong. Well, he is strong, but he's not, like, bulky by any means, so that's why you might want a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge or Paul Millsap who can bang down there and get those rebounds. But ultimately, I think with the transition threat that this team possesses and the offensive threat that they possess, even though they are a bit lackluster defensively, I think Blake Griffin definitely should be starting, even though he won't be the most prolific rebounder. And that completes this outrageously unfair starting lineup for the Brooklyn Nets when healthy, including Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Joe Harris, Kevin Durant, and Blake Griffin, with guys like LaMarcus Aldridge, Bruce Brown, Patty Mills, Paul Millsap, all coming off the bench. Yeah, the Brooklyn Nets should really win the championship this year, but who knows? It's the NBA. And with that, I would like to conclude this episode of the NBA the week that was. Let me know what you guys think about this Brooklyn starting lineup. As I talked about in my video, there are guys who deserve starting spots off the bench and who would be starting for other NBA teams like Patty Mills, Bruce Brown, LaMarcus Aldridge, but I believe this is the best starting 5 for this Brooklyn Nets team. Let me know down in the comments what you think, and I'll catch you guys on my next prediction episode here on the NBA the week that was. See ya!